Hello again, everybody. Avery Pierce with Beast of Burden Enterprises, and today we're going to talk about a Tomahawk Bowie combo, kind of like a 1-2 punch for your target. But before we get started, I want to talk about the particular axe that I'm using in today's video. This is a Ranger's axe made by a man named Stephen Delisle of Coal Creek Forge, and I get asked quite often who I would recommend to make an axe, or who does good custom work and who does work that's just right out of the box, great to use, and his is the one that I recommend. This particular axe is kind of unique because it's a pattern weld, Damascus style, and in my opinion he does this style beautifully. Once again, he's the guy that if you want something that's going to last your lifetime, for generations to come, look him up. His items can be found on eBay, or you can just email him directly. Now, we go from what I consider to be the very best to the not so best. These are the types of throwing knives that I'm going to be using in today's video. They're called Bowie type knives. Now, to my knowledge, Jim Bowie never made a throwing knife, but they're called Bowie type because of the shape and weight of them. The one thing that I like about these types of knives are, first of all, the leather scales for the handles. Instead of using wood, these are leather scales attached with rivets. So if you throw one and you throw another knife into it or an axe into it and it cuts the scale, it's not that hard to replace. Same thing with the rivets. If you break a rivet, there's plenty of them at Lowe's or Home Depot right down the street. Or you can do what I do and just use electrical tape on them. And that way, if you split one, just wrap another round of electrical tape on it and you're good to go. Now, there's all kind of different types of knives out there to be thrown. Some are shaped like arrows, darts, and there's nothing particularly wrong with those types of throwing knives. I just don't like them. They're not my style of throwing. Because with that type of knife, with the tip on it, you've got to throw the exact same every time. Same stance, same force, same release point to get a good stick. With these types of knives, you can let them over rotate a little bit, under rotate, and they're still going to stick. And that's good for my type of throwing because I do a lot of quick draw throwing. So I don't want to be exact where I need to be. I just want to be in the neighborhood of my stance when I let go and throw. Now, when you throw these types of knives, they basically throw just like an axe. The biggest problem that I see with people throwing these is they want to throw them like a baseball. They want to sidearm it. Don't do that. You want to bring your arm up straight and keep your wrist locked. That way, when this knife releases, it releases straight and spins in the air. And we'll get to that in just a minute. So, the other thing is the type of sheath that I'm going to be using today. This is just a piece of junk leather sheath. I don't even know where I got it from. This is what it looked like before I modified it. And what I've done is cut 2 slits on the back of it. That way it'll rest on my belt just like this, and I can cross draw the knife. And this will be important here in just a few minutes. So I'm going to get these sheaths on, and we're going to get to the target and get started. Alright, now, before we get started throwing the axe in combination with the knife, let's talk about throwing the knife first. These knives are 13 inches long, which makes the paces from the target about 4 paces back. So what you want to do is stand in the crossbody stance, and this will make sense in a minute. Bring the knife up, keep it straight, and just step and throw toward the target. That's all you have to do. Now with that throw, I was just a little too far back. It over-rotated just a little bit, but that's no big deal. It's easily fixed. So there again, before you practice drawing from the sheath, just stand in the crossbody stance, bring the knife up, and throw. Once you've got that down, and you can hit the target pretty consistently, sheath the knife. Now what I like to do is a crossbody draw, and that's why I stand in the crossbody stance. Face the target, draw, and in one fluid motion, draw and throw. Once you've gotten that down pretty well to where you can draw and execute a throw, we can talk about throwing the axe in conjunction with the knife. Alright, now, once you've practiced to where you can draw and clear your sheath consistently and hit the target, let's try to put the two together to make a combination. Now what you want to do is stand in the step and throw stance. And you're going to bring the axe up, you're going to step and throw, and then you're going to take another small step with this foot, draw your knife, step again, and throw. It's a little bit of footwork, but it's not really that hard. So again, we're going to step, throw the axe, take this step, draw our knife, and throw again. Now, you'll notice that my axe and knife are kind of on the same plane together. When you're starting out, you may want to try to hit low on the target with your axe and high on the target with your knife. That way you don't risk splitting the handle or damaging your head. So there again, what you're going to do is you're going to step, throw, twist, take that step, draw your knife, and throw again. And it's really that simple. After that, after you've gotten to where you can do that consistently, you can also do what I did in the opening shot. And that is to have another knife on this side. And to do it, it's basically the same, except after you draw from this side, you stay in that forward stance or crossbody stance and draw. It can be a little unnerving or aggravating, but once you get the habit of it, it's not that big of a deal. So you just throw your axe, take that step, throw your knife, draw again, and throw your knife. And you can do that. You can have two knives in this sheath, as many as you can pack in there. Alright, what I've done is rewrapped the handle with electrical tape. Just from that little bit of throwing, it split the tape, only had one layer on there. So now we're going to talk about throwing from the blade. First of all, if your knife is sharp, don't do this. You'll cut yourself open in a minute. These knives are blunt for a reason. They're meant to be held by the blade. Now with this knife, the pacing from the target, holding from the blade, is 5 paces, the same as your axe. So all you do is you hold it by the blade, step, and throw. That's it. Now, this can also be used in conjunction with your axe. What you can do is put your knife in your weak hand. I'm left-handed, so my weak hand's my right hand. Get your axe, throw, place that knife in your hand, and just throw again. And that's it. That's all it takes. Just a little bit of practice, and you'll be able to throw in conjunction 2 different ways. Well, that's about it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Again, I'm Avery Pierce with Beast of Burden Enterprises, and we'll see you next time.
If anyone's watching this, I'm being held captive by the crazy man who throws knives and axes. Help me!